Happy Friday! Hey, everybody. Hey, Mary Lou. Ooh, you're making a pot of potato soup? Oh, I love potato soup. Does it have cheese in it? Tell me it has cheese in it. It's okay if it don't have cheese in it, but if it has cheese in it, extra points. Bonus points. Hey, Gail. Bonjour. Bonjour. Gail, do you have like a list of things you want to say every day, or is it just whatever pops into your head? Because I love it. I love everything about it. It's always a surprise what you're going to say. I love it. Hey, Sherry. Hello, Sherry friend. How are you? Campbell's cheddar soup. Okay, well, I mean, hey, there you go. You did make a list? Oh my God, Gail. I love it. I love it. That's dedication. That's dedication, man. I love it. Oh my God. Hey, Billy, what are you doing today? So, if you didn't already know, I was like headlong into working in kiddos, like trying to get stuff squared away to get started cleaning her bedroom. I've been making lists and, trying to get myself like ready for that because her bedroom is a disaster zone. Like, you know how they always say you can't even walk in there? It's the truth. You can't. It's a danger zone. Like, it needs like yellow caution tape up in her doorway. So anyway, while I was in the midst of doing that, I got I had the trial up for Maxwell Anderson. And I was just waiting, And all of a sudden, I started seeing stuff about the verdict. And I was like, no way. Already? I mean, I knew that they were going to have a quick verdict, but not that quick. Lists are my jam too, Gail. I mean, I literally have lists of lists. I mean, hold on a second, and I'll show you something real quick. If I can get all my lists out of the way to show you my other lists. I mean, I have this notebook full of list stuffs. I mean, like, I'm dedicated, man. Like, I'm completely dedicated. You know what I mean? And then I have this one that is my, like, running list of, like, things, just all the, and here, let me show you one of my busy pages. Hold on. Here's one where I got everything marked off, right? Let me see. List. Hold on. Because I got some really good ones. Hold on. Well, shoot. Oh, here we go. This was a really productive week, right? So, I mean, and then I have my third one. This one here is my actual planner. So, and then here we have more lists. I mean, I'm obsessed with lists. And I have things like specifically like purple. My purple ink pens are dedicated to things related to Jolie. My green ink pen, because I have stuff color coded. I have green ink dedicated to my, other entrepreneurial endeavor, right? And then I have and green money, right? purple for Jolie because she loves purple. Green is money. And then I have red ink that I use for my true crime stuff, notes. I mean, I'm insane. But that way, when I do that, it's easily identifiable what is what by color, you know? So, yeah, I'm that person. Hey, Margaret. Gail says, if I'm packing for vacation, forget it lists on top of... yeah. I do the same thing. I even have a list that I make for, like, because you know how, and this is what I do, okay? You know how you will have, like, certain things that you use every day, but you need to pack them when you go somewhere on vacation or on whatever kind of trip, right? And so, like a brush, your toothbrush, your toothpaste, your makeup, your medicine, your, like, charging cord, your watch charger, your hey Rosebud. I mean, things like that that you use all the time, but if you don't pack them, you're not going to be able to live without them, right? And things that you're going to be using after you pack your clothes, like the things I just mentioned. So I have a list of before I walk out the door list. Like, I have my list. I make a list for what clothes I'm going to take. I have a list for if I'm going on a crafting retreat, what crafts I'm going to take, and, you know, my pens and trays and all the things for crafty stuff. And then I have a list of, like, charging related things. And then I mark everything off as I put them in the suitcase. Like, I will not mark them off until I put them in the suitcase. Then I make one more list of all the things that I have to make sure are in there before I literally walk out the door. Like, my tumbler cup, check. My money or debit card, check. My medicine, check. I mean, all those kind of things. So, I'm a weirdo when it comes to lists. I always say that I make lists of lists. I'm glad you're not the only one too, Gail. Organization is the key to success. It's the key to my OCD-ness is what it is. It's a hint of my OCD-ness, I think. Because I'm a little overboard. I'm not going to lie. Like, I can't even start cleaning a room unless I have a list. I can't like, my brain doesn't work in a way that's like, oh, I need to clean this room. So I'm just going to go through. No, I can't do that. Because then I end up just being like, okay, which way do I go? Which way do I go? So my cleaning lists literally begin with pick up the trash, pick up the toys, pick up the miscellaneous. Those are always the top 3 things on my list. And then into the other things. Organization is the key to your OCD-ness. There we go. All right. So as I was saying, that is a fresh cup of coffee too, but it's already not hot. What was I saying? About I'm all about lists and reminders too. You ain't alone. I'm glad that I'm not the only one. So we got a verdict already in the Maxwell Anderson, and because it was so quick, I did not get a chance to get the stream started because I was knee deep in lists and doing other things, right? And I was thinking, I was like, well, I could spark up a stream. But literally, like, before I even got the chance to do that, the judge was already at the bench, and she was getting, you know, they were reading the verdict. So there was no way I was going to be able to get to it in time, get the stream started in time. And it was quick. I told y'all it would be after bagels and coffee. Honey, I don't even think that they got the coffee brewed yet. That's how quick it was. Like, their bagels hadn't even made it out of the toaster yet. That's how quick it was. They didn't even have time to spread no cream cheese on their bagels. That's how quick it was. All right. Anyway, so we're going to watch it. We're going to watch the verdict together in case it was a fresh cup and it went cold. That's the worst. But we're going to watch the verdict together in case any of you missed it. And then I'm not going to be on very long today because husband's home early today. It's Friday, and I have a long list of things that I've got to get done on a, personal, like stuff, normal, regular stuff. But I wanted to watch the opening statements in Lori Vallow. So, because I started it and then fell asleep. So I didn't get to watch all of it. Let me go find it. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, here we go. Present, share. This one. Make it big. And add it to the stage. There we go. All right, so I pulled it all the way back to the very beginning, but let me just go ahead and get it to the good stuff. This was while the jury was deliberating. All right, here we go. Like, they were supposed to be there at, like, what was it, 9 o'clock? And look, the clock says 9:20. That's how quick they made their decision. Wow. All right, here we go. Rosebud says, "Are you all with me now?" What? Are you all with me now? Underspeding boost fibble bother victims. Another missing girl 2 years ago from Pizza Shatiki plus clothes, and I'd found not presented in trial. Rosebud. Ma'am. All with me now, understanding they continued investigation. Yeah. I mean, it's like shiitake mushrooms. I want some shiitake mushrooms on my pizza. Shiitake. But yeah, another missing girl from the pizza shuttle is what she's saying. Another girl went missing from that pizza shuttle 2 years ago. That's weird, right? Well, hopefully they can find out what happened in that situation. And the clothes and the ID found in his home, why they didn't bring that into the trial, I don't know. I don't know, but this guy's a creep. All right, let's watch this. And you guys, his face, oh my God, his face is punchable.
Calling State of Wisconsin versus Maxwell Anderson, case 24, CF1692, appearances.
Ian Vance Curzan and Megan Newport appear for the state along with Detective Joanne Donner.
Good morning, Anthony Cotton and Jason Finley with Max Anderson. Good morning again.
And good morning to all of you. At this point, I have received verdicts. They are in a proper legal fashion. Who is my foreperson? May I have your name and number for the record?
Juror number 1, Marilyn Johnson.
And you did sign these 4 verdicts and date them today?
I did.
Thank you. I will now read them into the record. As to count 1, the verdict reads, we, the jury, find the defendant, Maxwell Anderson, guilty of first-degree intentional homicide as charged in count 1 of the information. As to count 2, we, the jury, find the defendant, Maxwell Anderson, guilty of mutilating a corpse as charged in count 2 of the information. As to count 3, we, the jury, find the defendant, Maxwell Anderson, guilty of arson of property other than a building as charged in count 3 of the information. As to count 4, we, the jury, find the defendant, Maxwell Anderson, guilty of hiding a corpse as charged in count 4 of the information. At this point, I will poll the jury. What that means is as follows. I'm going to have the first juror stand in the back row on the far right. I'm going to ask you your juror number, and I'm going to ask you, well, stand and your juror number? 45. Juror 45, were these and are these your verdicts? Thank you. Next juror. Juror 23, were these and are these your verdicts? Thank you. Juror 29. Juror 29, were these and are these your verdicts? Yes. Thank you. Juror 47, were these and are these your verdicts? Yes. Thank you. Juror 3, were these and are these your verdicts? Thank you. Juror 42, were these and are these your verdicts? Thank you. Front row. Juror 5, were these and are these your verdicts? Yes. Thank you. Juror 1, were these and are these your verdicts? Thank you. Juror 52, were these and are these your verdicts? Thank you. Juror 40, were these and are these your verdicts? Thank you. Juror 21, were these and are these your verdicts? Thank you. Juror 36, were these and are these your verdicts? Thank you. State, are you satisfied with the polling?
Yes.
Defense, are you satisfied with the polling?
Yes, Your Honor.
Then at this point in time, your service is complete. You are done for 4 years. At this point, you are free to talk to anyone you choose or speak to no one. It is completely in your discretion at this point in time. I will come back to the jury room and speak with you in about 2 minutes, okay? Thank you for your time and attention,
like,
and I'll be right back.
It won't take me but 2 minutes to tell this fool he's going to jail, to prison. The look on his face was like, ugh. Ugh.
Motions.
State moves for judgments of conviction on counts 1 through 4, and I move the court to remand the defendant.
Move for judgment of acquittal on all 4 counts and no position on remand.
At this point in time, I will put in place a remand order. Relative to the motions, I am going to order judgment of conviction to be entered onto the record at this point in time. This jury acted reasonably. They applied facts to law as was required. And at this point in time, I am going to order a pre-sentence investigation. Is either side requesting a recommendation with that pre-sentence?
No.
No.
I'll order a pre-sentence without recommendation. At this point, we will select a sentencing date.
Due to the PSI, we are looking 60 days out. How about the week of August 11th? Or the week of the 18th?
I'll let the state chime in first. I'm pretty flexible.
I think they're checking with the victims too. Does that work?
The state is good with the week of August 11th would be the preference.
Can
I
we
would
do
just
the,
ask for a morning slot if we could.
the 15th at 10 o'clock?
Sure. Jay?
His face, man.
Yes.
The next court date will be calendared for August 15th at 10 o'clock for the sentencing.
We'll see you back then. Thank you.
Thank you.
everyone.
Thank you.
That's it.
I have to let it.
That's it. Way to go, dingbat. Way to go. All right. He must have used a plastic spoon on his hair, yeah. He must have. Hold on, I'm going to go over to the opening statements for Lori Vallow. My God. But seriously, though, I mean, if they have, I would love to keep tabs on the investigation on if they're looking at him for other disappearances of other girls. I would love to keep tabs on that because, yeah, the dude's a creep. All right, here's the opening statements. Open link. Share this tab.
He
Make
saw a
it bigger.
Texas plate on the Jeep.
All right. So there's Miss Lori over there to the left with her big yellow hair. And let me get rid of these other tabs real quick. Okay. So, yeah, there's Lori with her big yellow hair. And I know Margaret listened to it, and what was it you said, Margaret? That she must have learned something from the last time because she didn't use the what you will see or what you will hear. Every other word. Like she started every sentence out with that, whatever phrase she used. Y'all, I'm a weird about my coffee. I either want it like piping hot or ice cold. I can't stand it in the middle. I mean, I'll drink it, but I want it like so hot that I can't drink it or iced. But I'm going to get started with this. I'm a fan of Judge Bresky. I love him a lot. All right, everybody's got headphones on right now. The judge, the court reporter. Or she did have. Does she not now? Don't look like she has them on now. I can't tell. Well, let me fast forward. Get to the part where we need to be. Rocky Top, you'll always be home sweet home to me. Good old Rocky Top.
All right, let's go ahead and bring in the jury. We'll commence with the opening statements.
Yes. Yes, Miss King. We just watched it. Rewind it, replay it back. We've only been live 25 minutes, and the first 10 minutes or 15 I spent just chit-chatting. Rewind it real quick. The verdict reading was only like 3-4 minutes. Go back and watch it. Go back and watch it. And then come back. Good to see you, Miss King. Good to see you. I like him too, Gail. Plus, he's good looking to boot. So, and I like how he don't let Lori rule the roost. And I like his snarkiness towards her. His professional snarkyism. Okay, come on. See how handsome he is? He's very handsome.
Yes. Okay, so maybe an email can be sent to Mr. White to see if picking up any doc. Or if they could even be digitally emailed over if you need assistance printing them.
I have the volume all the way up too, by the way. Okay. Okay, the jurors are coming in.
All right, please be seated. Members of the jury, welcome back. As you can see, we have extra jurors just in case someone can't proceed, which you observe that we already had to use or let one juror go. At this time, the state can proceed with its opening statement.
Thank you. A Jeep Wrangler. The Texas license plate, no rear tire, and dark tint was parked right up next to Brandon Boudreaux's driveway, idle. At 9:13 a.m. on October 2nd of 2019, Brandon Boudreaux returned home. That Jeep had been idling there already for over an hour. When Brandon turned onto his street, he immediately noticed this Jeep because it was parked so close to his driveway. The back of the Jeep was facing towards him, and he immediately also noticed that there was no rear tire. He saw a Texas plate on the Jeep, and then he saw that back window of the Jeep open up, a rifle barrel come out and point at him. And then bang! He heard a shot and his window shattered right next to him. Brandon hit the accelerator and he took off. He turned the corner and drove a block or so away and stopped, calling 911. He talked to the operator and told them where this Jeep was going. As Brandon was speaking with the 911 operator, he had no idea that that bullet had struck his car just a few inches from his head. You'll learn that in the back of that Jeep was this defendant's brother, Alex Cox. He had been lying in wait with a rifle for Brandon to return home. This defendant, Lori Vallow Daybell, the woman seated over here, had loaned her Jeep to her brother so he could drive it to Arizona. So he could be in the back of that Jeep with very dark tint that no one could see through and wait for Brandon to return home. The goal of this defendant and her co-conspirators, to shoot and kill Brandon Boudreaux. So let's talk about October 2nd and the weeks leading up to that. All of the actions that this defendant did in furtherance of that conspiracy and the premeditated murder of Brandon Boudreaux. I'm going to start with a little background for you. In June of 2019, Brandon Boudreaux was still married to his then wife, Melanie. You're going to learn that Melanie is this defendant's niece. You're going to learn they were very close. And you're going to learn that they both had it out for Brandon. On June 25th, Brandon and Melanie got into an argument. And Brandon learned that this defendant had told his wife that he was gay, that he had hacked into her computer, and that Brandon was trying to work with her then husband to take her temple recommend away. You're going to learn that many of the people, including Brandon and this defendant, are members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And having your temple recommend taken away is a very significant event. You're going to learn and see that Brandon actually texted Lori Vallow on the 25th of June to confront her about these lies, and that she never responded. By July, just a short while later, Brandon and Melanie were seeing a mediator and proceeding through a divorce. You're going to also hear that during this time, Lori Vallow and Alex Cox lived here in Arizona. In fact, Lori lived in Chandler. You're going to hear about an incident that occurred on July 11th of 2019 in Chandler involving Lori Vallow and Alex Cox. The Chandler police were out at this defendant's residence and they took photographs of some vehicles. One of those vehicles was a 2018 Jeep Wrangler with Texas license plates, LWD 0997. that will be very important to you. They also noted that Alex had his own car, a Ford F-150. Both of those vehicles were in Chandler in July. You're going to learn that in August or September, or August through September, Lori Vallow and her brother Alex Cox moved up to Rexburg, Idaho, to be closer to this defendant's soon-to-be husband, Sade Daybell. Both of them moved into a complex at 565 Pioneer Road in Rexburg, Idaho. Lori took the Jeep Wrangler and a Nissan Rogue, and Alex brought his Ford F-150. So everyone had their own vehicles. You're going to learn that as the divorce is proceeding between Brandon and his then wife, Melanie, that they put their house up for sale. And Melanie moved out and got a rental property. When their house finally sold, Brandon had to rent a home too. And on September 13th of 2019, he rented a house at 3875 East Phelps Street in Gilbert. Brandon will tell you his plan initially was to stay in his own house almost up to the time of the closing and then move into the rental property. You will see a text message that Melanie asked Brandon for his new address. They had children in common, so he didn't think anything of this. And he sent her the address. That was on September 17th. You'll learn that Melanie Boudreau, this defendant's niece, was the only person who knew Brandon's address, who knew 3875 East Phelps Street, and who also knew this defendant and Alex Cox. Brandon barely moved into that house before the shooting. In fact, he'd moved in sooner than he thought because Melanie told him she was going out of town and offered him the kids for an extra weekend. And so he moved in sooner and took the kids while she flew to Rexburg, Idaho on September 26th through the 29th to be with this defendant. So in the weeks leading up to this October 2nd shooting, we'll talk about all of these things that were done in furtherance of this conspiracy, starting with Lori Vallow's Jeep. You'll learn that Alex Cox searched out a place to have extra window tinting put on the Jeep. And I say that because you're going to see the photos from the Jeep in July, and you'll see there's tinting on the windows, but you can still see into it. And so on September 25th, Alex Cox took that Jeep to Dan's Window Tinting in Rexburg, Idaho, and he paid $200 to put some of the darkest tint you could put on it. You'll see those photos of what that Jeep looked like afterwards. This is the first action of this defendant, Lori Vallow, in the conspiracy, loaning her brother this Jeep and allowing him to put on these dark tint to get it ready so he can lie in wait and no one could see him in the back with that rifle. It is her first mistake, using that Jeep and tying herself to the conspiracy and to the premeditation. Also on September 25th, you're going to learn that Lori Vallow and her accomplice, Alex Cox, went to the Walmart Superstore in Idaho Falls. You're going to learn that's not far from Rexburg. And they purchased a burner phone. Now, a burner phone is a phone that you don't have to put your subscriber information to. And so how do we know that Alex Cox was there and Lori Vallow was there? Well, you're going to learn they each had their own cell phone like most of us do, and that Alex Cox's cell phone was utilizing Wi-Fi inside that Walmart at the time that burner phone was purchased with cash. And you'll learn that this defendant's cell phone that was subscribed to her was utilizing cell towers in the area of that Walmart at the time that that burner phone was purchased. Lori Vallow and Alex Cox knew that he would need a phone when he drove down here, but they knew you don't want to bring your own phone. It's a great, you'll be tracked, right? So they bought this burner phone so that Alex would have contact while he drove down here and away. But Alex made a mistake. Because like any other phone, you can still use a burner phone to access Google or your Gmail accounts. And you're going to learn that Alex accessed his Gmail account. In this investigation, you'll learn the police executed many search warrants, and one of them was on Alex Cox's Gmail account, homerjmaximus@gmail.com. You're going to learn that Alex searched for things like window tinting in Rexburg, that he searched for places to practice shooting ranges. You're going to learn that he searched different things about angles or trajectories of shots. You're going to learn that the day before, on October 1st and the morning of October 2nd, he searched 3875 East Phelps Street, where Brandon Boudreaux lived. You're going to learn that after the shooting, Alex Cox actually searched for directions on how to get away through a back road. He knew he hadn't killed Brandon. Brandon's calling 911, and so he searched for Pine Top, Holbrook, Moab, Utah, Fillmore, Utah, and eventually Idaho Falls as he made his way back through back roads. You're going to learn that the police also executed search warrants on this defendant's Gmail account, lollytimeforever@gmail.com. On September 30th, the day when her brother took her Jeep and started driving down to Arizona, she searched, quote, how to get the back seat out of my Jeep Wrangler. And she also searched a YouTube video, Jeep Wrangler JK rear seat removal, how to DIY YouTube video. This defendant continued to be a co-conspirator and to aid her
Wow, I don't
accomplice,
think I knew
Alex
that.
Cox.
Did I know that she searched that on her phone? I don't think that I knew that. Wow. Did anybody else know that? I mean, I know a lot about the Vallow Daybell case situation, but I don't remember that part.
By searching how to remove that back seat of the Jeep so he could better lie in wait to shoot Brandon. This was the defendant's second mistake, and more evidence of her being a co-conspirator and the premeditation. This defendant also, on September 30th, began aiding Alex by becoming his alibi. You'll hear from Nick Valance, who is an FBI agent who deals with cellular analysis, that around 4:30 p.m. on September 30th, Alex Cox's cell phone, the one that he subscribed to, moved from his apartment in this same complex where he and Lori Vallow lived to Lori Vallow's unit. And from them on for the next couple days, Alex Cox's phone remained with this defendant. Meanwhile, that burner phone from that Idaho Falls Walmart on September 30th started moving towards Arizona. You will hear that on October 2nd of 2019, at about 8 in the morning Arizona time, about an hour before the shooting, this defendant created the alibi. She had Alex Cox's phone call her phone to make it look like he was still in Rexburg, Idaho, instead of in Gilbert, Arizona. That fake call lasted about 24 minutes.
Hey, Donnie.
Both of those cell phones were using the same.
Yes, ma'am, we got the verdict earlier. You'll have to scroll back to the beginning of the stream and kind of watch for the video to start, because I yammer, jabber, gibber for quite a few minutes before we watched the verdict. But yes, there was the verdict, was today, this morning. Yes, ma'am.
Cell tower.
And then I had decided I wanted to watch the opening statements in Lori Vallow. So we won't be watching the whole thing, but I wanted to at least see the opening statements because I missed them. And then I got to get caught up on the rest of yesterday, and then today I'll have to catch that later tonight. So, but yes.
In Rexburg, Idaho. This was Lori Vallow's third mistake. More evidence that she was a co-conspirator and of that premeditation to aid her brother in this shooting of Brandon Boudreaux. So how do we know, though, that Lori Vallow's Jeep drove from Idaho to Arizona? Well, we're going to start by learning about what we call LPRs, or license plate readers. You will learn and see a photo of Lori Vallow's Jeep in Arizona on October 1st of 2019, up near Holbrook on the I-40. You'll hear that the DEA has a license plate reader there, and they took a photo of Lori Vallow's Jeep with that license plate LWD 0997 on its way to Gilbert, Arizona. You're also going to learn that the police later recovered that Jeep back up in Rexburg, and they did a couple different search warrants on it. And what they recovered inside the Jeep, among other things, was a receipt from October 1st of 2019 from Mesa, Arizona, the day before the shooting, from a restaurant called Los Favoritos out on Power Road. You're going to learn that at the time the burner phone is down here in Arizona. You'll learn that Alex Cox was using his Gmail and Googling an address on Power Road around the time when we then see the receipt. Alex Cox, Lori Vallow's Jeep, and Alex's rifle are here in Arizona waiting to commit this shooting. Meanwhile, up in Rexburg, on October 1st, this defendant does a little more additional help. She goes to a storage unit in Rexburg, Idaho, and rents unit C52. The next day, on October 2nd, when this shooting is happening down in Arizona, or after the shooting actually, she brings her soon-to-be husband, Sade Daybell, with her. And you will see video of this as she and Sade Daybell put the rear tire and the rear bench seat of that Jeep into the storage unit. Using the storage unit for that Jeep tire and that bench seat so that her co-conspirator, Alex, could lie in wait in the back of the Jeep, waiting for Brandon to return home that morning. This is, again, evidence of that conspiracy and of the premeditation to kill Brandon. So October 2nd, the morning of this shooting, you will see that Alex Cox was Googling that address, 3875 East Phelps Road. His burner phone from Idaho Falls, Idaho, is in Gilbert, Arizona. He's using his Gmail account, and he is using cell towers around Melanie Boudreaux's residence. Now, this is important because Melanie knew that Brandon had their kids. They had 4. She knew that Brandon that morning was going to have to drop off 3 of the kids at school and that they would exchange their youngest. They would meet at a park. Brandon would text Melanie, let her know he was there. She would respond, and they would exchange their youngest child. While Brandon was leaving his house to take his kids to school, that Idaho burner phone moves to his residence and begins waiting for him. Alex kept the Jeep running as he waited for Brandon to return. What Melanie didn't know was that Brandon was going to the gym after dropping off the kids, and so Alex had to wait longer. You'll hear that one of Brandon's neighbors noticed this Jeep. It's a neighborhood that doesn't have any real easy ingress or egress. You'll see a map of it. So there's very little through traffic. And so the neighborhood knows and recognizes most of the same cars. And you'll hear from a neighbor that as he was backing out, he saw this Jeep parked the wrong way on the road, nose to nose with another vehicle that he did recognize. He saw the dark tinting, he saw it was running, and he thought it just stood out as unusual in his neighborhood. It made him actually look into his rearview mirror to note it had a Texas license plate. This was about 30 plus minutes before Brandon arrived home. When Brandon got to the house that day, Alex was ready with the rifle. And we know that he was able to just lift up that back window because the tire wasn't on it. Alex fired one shot. Luckily, he did not hit Brandon. You will see that Brandon was driving a Tesla at the time. And unlike many cars, there's no frame around the window. The window just goes into the door, into the car itself. The shot hit the frame of the vehicle, but right where the window goes up into it. And you'll see that there is damage to the window as well as the bullet hole into the frame of the vehicle itself, right above Brandon's head when he was sitting in that driver's seat. You'll hear that
Oh,
when
Lord have
Brandon
mercy.
took off, the window remained in the door.
Literally, the Lord did have mercy.
That he drove away and then eventually circled back around and went into his driveway. You'll hear that for a Tesla, when you put the car in park, the door automatically opens and the whole window just shattered out. Brandon was on the phone with 911 soon after the shooting. You'll hear that call, him actually sounding out of breath from the fear. And he waited for the police to arrive.
Yeah, because he
Alex
missed
Fox, of
Tammy
course, is
too.
Googling
The
how
first
to get
time
out
when
of
he
there
shot
and
at
get
her,
back
he
to
missed her.
Rexburg, Idaho. And by October 3rd, he was back there. That same day on October 3rd, you will see that Alex Cox and Lori Vallow went back to the storage unit. They removed that rear tire. They removed the rear seat of the Jeep and took it with them. You will again see video of that. You'll also see that they Googled that day, news in Gilbert, shootings of Brandon, to try to find out what the police knew. How did the police figure out that this defendant and Alex Cox were involved? Well, when the police were interviewing Brandon, they asked him if he had any enemies. Who would want to do this? And Brandon told the police the only people he could think of was Lori Vallow and Alex Cox. He told them that Lori had lived in Texas and that the Jeep had a Texas license plate. And he told them about that incident on July 11th of 2019 in Chandler involving Lori Vallow and Alex Cox. And he believed this was all tied together. You'll hear that the Gilbert police reached out to the Chandler Police Department and learned about that Jeep with the Texas plates, LWD 0997, the same plate that was seen on that license plate reader on October 1st coming into Arizona. The Gilbert police learned that Lori Vallow and Alex Cox were living in Rexburg, Idaho, and they reached out to law enforcement there. You'll hear that on November 1st, police in Idaho went to 565 Pioneer Road, that apartment complex, and they saw Lori Vallow, they saw Alex Cox, and they saw Sade Daybell. They didn't see the Jeep that day, and so they went back a few days later on November 4th and saw the Jeep located near Lori Vallow's residence. Tires back on it, rear seat is back in it. You'll hear that they impounded it, and on November 18th, the Gilbert police flew to Idaho to process it. You're going to learn about GSR, or gunshot residue. You're going to learn that they process the vehicle, basically they're little sticky kits. GSR is microscopic. You can't see it, so you try to collect it, and then you give it to an expert to look through it. You will hear that those kits were sent to the Phoenix Police Department and reviewed, and that particles indicative of gunshot residue were located on the kits that were tested from the rear of that Jeep Wrangler, and that this is consistent with a gun being fired from the rear of the Jeep. You also hear that the Gilbert Police Department collected DNA from areas like the steering wheel, the gear shift, seatbelt buckles, and that they got a blood blot from Alexander Cox. DNA profiles were created from the steering wheel and other areas around the driver's seat. And the DNA was found to be a mixture, multiple people, but the major contributor was Alexander Cox. Again, you will hear that the police executed multiple search warrants on cell phones, cell tower usage, data from Gmail accounts, and data from iCloud accounts. You will see a map of Lori Vallow's cell phone, Alex Cox's cell phone, as well as that burner phone from that Walmart in Idaho Falls, the one that was associated to Alex Cox's Gmail account. You will hear from Nick Valance from the FBI, and he'll show you how that burner phone went from Rexburg, Idaho, down to Gilbert, Arizona, was there for the shooting, and returned back to Rexburg, and was never used again after that. You will learn that the only phone number that that burner phone called or received calls from was Sade Daybell, this defendant's soon-to-be husband. The same phone, of course, that was using those cell towers right around Brandon's home at the time of the shooting. This defendant, Lori Vallow Daybell, has been charged with conspiracy to commit the first-degree murder of Brandon Boudreaux on October 2nd of 2019. The evidence in this case will prove to you beyond a reasonable doubt that this defendant conspired with Alex Cox and others to kill Brandon. She provided the means, the Jeep, she helped get the Jeep ready, and she tried to provide an alibi for her co-conspirator. At the end of this trial, the state will ask you all to hold this defendant accountable and find her guilty of conspiracy to commit first-degree murder. Thank you.
Would the defense like to give an opening statement at this time?
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, here we are at trial. And the judicial system can be difficult to understand at times. There are laws and rules and statutes that govern how things will proceed in this trial. You yesterday got to hear the preliminary jury instruction, so you kind of...
So yeah, Rosebud, the Jeep was actually Tylee's. I don't know if it was in Lori's name, but it was literally, I guess it literally would have been Lori's, but it was known to be Tylee's Jeep. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I'm even tired of myself too. And what is the timeline of Tylee missing in this incident? I'm trying to think. I can't remember. I can't remember how long before, the kids wound up missing when this happened. I can't remember. I'm trying to think, but I can't remember off the top of my head.
I've got an order of how things are going to go. In order for someone to be charged with a crime, as I have been,
Your Honor, I'm going to object to argument versus a opening statement.
I'll remind the defendant, an opening statement should be a preview of what is to be expected at trial. So go ahead.
that law enforcement presents evidence that they gather, and the state prosecutors are going to present that to you. Sometimes the state charges the defendant with a crime. They have charged me with a crime, a very serious crime. Sometimes they take the allegations to a grand jury to decide if the
I'm
defendant
going
should
to
be
object
charged.
again, Your Honor. Improper
That's,
argument. Asked to strike.
Hold on. The jury should disregard that last comment. How the charges arrived here are not for the jury's consideration. The prior proceedings are not for the jury's consideration. Please proceed.
The state or the prosecution will then take the information gathered, the evidence from law enforcement, and present to you a story, a theory, their hypothesis of what happened. In this case, the prosecutor was not present during this alleged crime. The Gilbert Police Department was not present during this alleged crime. So it is their job to fill in the gaps, make up a theory, and present it to you, the jury, at trial. This is their job. They are not witness to the actual events because they weren't there that day with Brandon at the house when this alleged shooting occurred. This case is about a conspiracy. And a conspiracy is when two or more people make an agreement to commit a crime. They have to willingly and knowingly participate. Conspiracy is an ancient word that appears in the Bible on many occasions. Judas conspired against Jesus with the chief priests for
I'm going to
30 pieces of silver.
object to, unless this is being presented at trial, I'm not sure that this is appropriate opening.
What is the legal objection?
Well, you're arguing. The opening statement is not argument. I'm going to allow it briefly, but I may cut you off depending on where you're going with that.
Cain conspired against Abel, his brother. This case is a case of conspiracy. The charge against me is that I conspired with my brother, Alex Cox, to murder my niece's husband, Brandon Boudreau. But you will find, as you begin to see the evidence put forth in this case, that there was not any animosity between Brandon and myself. I personally did not have any motivation to have harm come to Brandon. In fact, Brandon and I had a very friendly relationship all of the time that I have known him. I first met Brandon when he was marrying my niece, Melanie.
And Your Honor, I'm going to object to, unless the defendant's
Hold
testifying.
on. Can I have the parties approach briefly? Can I have you approach briefly?
Ruh-roh. Oh, Rosebud, it's going to completely, I mean, that's her whole, you know, everything that she's going to argue is going to have something to do with the Bible. At least it's not 185. The evidence will shows. The look on the defense attorney's face told everything. Just then, when she turned around.
I first met Brandon when he was marrying my niece, Melanie. Melanie and I are very close because my sister, her mother, passed away when she was just 9 years old. So Melanie and I think of each other and love each other like a mother and daughter, even though we are aunt and niece. So our families remained close, Melanie and Brandon's family and my family. And in each other's lives, like everyday lives. We spent holidays together and shared in everyday life. I was there for Melanie and Brandon's wedding and for the birth of all four of their children. I was also very close to all four of their children. In this case, you will hear Brandon himself tell you that someone shot a gun at his car. You will learn in this testimony that Brandon was not hurt. You will learn that he wasn't even sure what had happened. But you will hear that Brandon immediately blamed me, which begs the question, was I an enemy to Brandon? That is news to me, and hopefully by the end of this trial, we will all have some answers to that question. In this case, you will learn that Brandon had called 911, and Gilbert Police did respond. You will learn that Brandon speaks of a puke green Jeep, and then he offers the officers a camo green color that he's speaking of on his phone. He says a green Jeep. Then you will hear the neighbor who says that it was a dark blue Jeep that was parked in front of the neighbor's house. You will learn that Brandon very quickly hired a private investigator to find out where I was living out of the state of Arizona so he could inform the police. You will see Brandon exchange email information with Detective Pillar, the case agent in this case, about my whereabouts and about the financial dealings of my niece, Melanie Boudreau. You will learn that Brandon was not particularly satisfied with the investigation that Gilbert Police was conducting, so he did his own investigation, hiring his own private investigator to follow his wife, Melanie Boudreau. You will find out that Brandon had access to the VIN number of a Jeep and gave it to the police. You will find out that after that event, he quickly changed his story from a camo green Jeep to a gray Jeep. You will then learn that Brandon continued to provide information he was personally finding out to Detective Pillar, the case agent in this case. You will learn that Detective Pillar and Brandon discussed through email how they can demonstrate Melanie's financial gain if Brandon were to have died around October 2nd, 2019. This is what a conspiracy looks like. Two people trying to set up another person for a crime. My niece, Melanie Boudreau, is named by the state as a co-conspirator. However, she has not been charged with the crime.
I'm going to object
but
and
I
have that
have.
struck as well, Your Honor.
Jury should disregard that statement. You're going to receive an instruction later that all persons that may be involved would not necessarily be charged or called as witnesses, and you'll follow those instructions later. Go ahead.
I was not living in Arizona at the time this alleged incident happened on October 2nd, 2019. I was not even aware such an event had taken place. I did have a close relationship with my brother Alex, but I was not aware of his every move. Melanie also had a close relationship with Alex, but also was not aware of his location at all times. Brandon and Alex also had a good relationship until this accusation. They saw each other frequently at all of our family parties and get-togethers and would often be seen laughing and talking. Alex was a comedian who kept our family laughing. Alex passed away in December 2019 of natural causes, so he is not here to defend himself.
And I'm going to object again to that as well, since he's not party to this. He's
All
not
right,
here.
I'll just remind the jury that what is said in opening statements is not evidence, it's not sworn testimony. Please proceed.
Although the state has alleged that there are several co-conspirators in this case, I am the only one being charged with a crime. So you will be the judge. You will hear and see evidence presented by the state. The state has, according to the law, 100% burden to prove to you
I'm
that
going
a
to object to misstatement
crime-
of the law in terms of 100%.
All right, again, this is a little bit bordering on argument, but the jury will receive the instructions on what is and what is not proof beyond a reasonable doubt.
the state has the burden to prove that a crime has been committed here and that I committed that crime. That is the way the law is written. I do not have to show any evidence or put up a defense. I do not have to testify. That is the law. The prosecutors from the state have to prove to you that I conspired, meaning made an agreement with my brother to murder Brandon. So you will decide. Right now, according to the law, I am innocent. I remain innocent until the state of Arizona and its prosecutors show you enough evidence to convince you that I had anything to do with this alleged crime. And I want you to look carefully and determine if this incident was a crime at all. Did a shooting actually occur? Only Brandon claims that it did. Only Brandon names me and Alex. You will learn that Brandon himself did own a gun. You will learn that Brandon knew how to shoot his gun. You will learn that Brandon and Melanie were going through a divorce. And you will learn that even though Brandon is the one who actually filed for a divorce, he was blaming me for his divorce. You will learn that the information that the Gilbert Police Department and Detective Pillar, the case agent on this case, learned about me and my brother Alex was from Brandon Boudreaux. You will learn that Brandon and Detective Pillar communicated frequently and were on a first-name basis. I want you to look closely at the motivation of Brandon and the Gilbert Police Department, because I'm the only one charged with the crime, and I need you to decipher what really happened here, because I'm the only one who's being asked to pay a consequence for this
And
crime.
again, Your Honor, I'm going to ask to object and strike that. There's
Sustained, the jury in their instructions received an instruction that said the jury is not to consider a penalty. That will be in the final instructions area as well. The jury's job is to determine whether or not the state has proved the case beyond a reasonable doubt or the charge beyond a reasonable doubt. Go ahead, proceed.
You will hear many references during this trial about the state versus Lori Daybell. Well, who is the state? The state are the prosecutors.
I object to argument and relevance.
Sustained.
Oh, Lord,
And you,
she
the
just
jury,
sounded
are
like
brought
Daryl
in to
Brooks.
stand
Well, who
between
is the state? Oh, don't be Daryl Brooks and his chick.
the state and me.
And I'm going to object again to improper statement of the law, argument, and relevance.
Sustained.
You are here to say if a crime has even been committed at all. You are here to say if I committed this very crime and if the state proved this to you beyond a reasonable doubt. If at the end of this trial you have reasonable doubt, then I remain innocent. If the state does not prove to you that I, 1, committed a crime, and 2, committed this crime, then I remain innocent. In this case, you will hear a lot of speculation. The definition of speculation is an idea or guess about something that is not known. During this trial, the state will try to convince you that I committed this crime by using speculation, innuendo, and insinuation. And the state is hoping that this will be enough. In this trial, you will in fact witness a power struggle between the state and the defendant
Your Honor,
for
I'm
what
going
a
to
fact
object to
really
argument.
is.
Sustained.
Because they want to convince you, the jury, that a fact is speculation, that a fact is innuendo, that a fact is insinuation, that they knew what I was thinking, what I was feeling, what I was planning, when they don't know it all. You, the jury, have all the power to decide what the facts are and what they're not. Not the state, not the judge, not law enforcement, you. So I implore you to listen carefully and decide for yourselves if the state's theory really makes logical sense. What motivation did I have? What malice have I ever shown to anyone? What benefit would I gain? I am a person who loves all people and has no malice towards anyone, not even the prosecutors who wrongfully try to convict me.
Your Honor, I'm going to object again to relevance and to argument.
Sustained.
I am all about spreading love and will continue to do so, even after this trial is complete, no matter the result. Thank you.
All right, the state can call its first witness.
Thank you.
Lord, have
The
mercy.
state will call Brandon to address.
The state will call who?
Your Honor, could we have a,
You're going to come up here.
Are
and
they
be
calling
sworn in
him
by the
first?
Clerk.
Can you please state and spell your first and your last name?
Is that Brandon Boudreaux? Yeah, you have the power. Brandon goes first. Ugh. Really?
All right, sir, go around the court reporter. Have a seat up here to my left.
Your Honor, could we have a sidebar?
Is it about what we discussed earlier? The state's probably going to, you won't complete your direct before lunch?
I don't believe so, no.
Okay.
I will, but not for a second. Would you please introduce yourself to the jury?
My name's Brandon Boudreaux. I live here in Arizona.
And if you can pull the mic just a little closer to you and.
Okay, I'm
roll
going
in
to listen to a
bit
little
closer.
bit of
Thank
this
you.
and then I'll end it for the
It's okay.
day.
How old are you, Brandon?
I'm 40 years old.
You said you're currently living in Arizona?
I am, yes.
What do you do for a living?
Currently, I own a solar company.
Okay. I want to talk to you sort of about your marriages. Are you currently married?
I am.
Do you have a prior marriage?
I did, yes.
I want to talk about your prior marriage. When did you get married initially?
I was married initially October 31st, 2008.
And who were you married to?
Melanie Cope at the time, she became Boudreaux.
How long were you and Melanie married?
A little over 10 years.
Did you two have any children?
We have 4.
Do you recall approximately when you began divorce proceedings with Melanie?
Would have been in July of 2019.
And do you recall approximately when your divorce with Melanie was finalized?
It would have been in October of 2019.
Was it before or after October 2nd?
It was the middle of October,
Okay.
so after.
Now, do you have family here in Arizona?
I have a brother who lives in Tucson now, but at the time I did not have any family here in Arizona.
They lived in another state.
Yes.
Did Melanie have family that lived here in Arizona?
Yes, she did.
Did you know someone by the name of Lori Vallow?
I did. That was Melanie's aunt.
And did you spend a lot of time with Melanie's aunt, Lori Vallow?
Yes, we spent a lot of time together.
Do you see her in the courtroom today?
I do.
Can you point her out and tell us what she's wearing?
She's directly behind you wearing glasses and a blue top.
Your Honor, may the record reflect the witness has identified the defendant.
It shall.
When you knew or were spending time with Lori Vallow, was she married at that time?
She was.
Who was her husband then?
Charles Vallow.
And how often would you see Lori Vallow and her family?
Pretty often. We would spend holidays together. We often vacationed together, and our children were close, so it wouldn't be unordinary to see each other every week.
Were you close with Lori Vallow's prior husband, Charles Vallow?
I was, yes.
Did you know other members of Melanie's sort of expanded family?
Yes, I did.
Did you know a person by the name of Alex Cox?
Yes, I did.
Who was he in relation to Melanie?
That would be her uncle.
So Lori's brother?
Correct, yes.
And before your divorce from Melanie, did you see Alex Cox often?
Not as often as Lori, but yes, I did see him.
Okay.
Usually at a family get-together.
Did you know anyone by the name of Sade Daybell?
No, I did not.
Did you later become aware that Lori Vallow married a Sade Daybell?
Yes, I did.
Can you try to describe for us the relationship between Melanie, your ex-wife, and her aunt, Lori Vallow?
I would say that she looked at her as maybe more than an aunt, like closer to a mother figure. Her mother passed away when she was younger, and she let her hold a lot of influence in her life.
Starting sort of the end of 2018 through 2019, did you notice Melanie spending a lot more time with Lori?
Can you ask that question one more time?
Sure. Starting sort of the end of 2018 through 2019, did you notice Melanie spending more time with Lori?
Yes.
In 2019, did you start to notice issues with your marriage with Melanie?
Yes, I did.
Without going into what was said, did you ever speak with Charles Vallow about Lori Vallow interfering with your marriage with Melanie?
Yes, I did. On a few occasions.
I want to talk to you about June 25th of 2019. Did that day stick out to you?
Yes, it does.
Why do you remember that date?
On June 25th of 2019, I had a
I'm
long
almost done, Rosebud.
disagreement
I'm
with
not going
my
to be
then
on.
wife.
I'm not going to be on. I'm actually going to go ahead and get off here. Because I had only wanted to watch the verdict today that we missed this morning for Maxwell Anderson. And then I wanted to watch the opening statements. So I promised myself that I wouldn't get into the testimony, but I didn't realize that Brandon Boudreaux was first. So, yeah, you have an awesome weekend, Rosebud. And I'm going to go ahead and jump, you guys. It is Friday. It's almost 3. Husband's been home for a little bit, and I'm in the middle of making my lists. I got to get some grocery lists done. I got to get organizational stuff done. I got to get her bedroom taken care of. Her bedroom is trashed, like I said. So, anyway. And then I got to get some other work stuff done. But I hope that you guys have a great weekend. I'm glad that Maxwell Anderson trial is over. So I don't know what next week will hold, trial-wise or stream-wise, but we'll find something, won't we? We always do. There's always crime. Absolutely, Gail. Love you. You have a great weekend too. You too, Billy. And I will see you guys back on Monday. Make sure to hit that thumbs up before you leave. Subscribe if you're new. Click the notification bell and hashtag replay in the comments if you watch this on the replay. I love you guys. Bye, everybody.